Surround the Circle. I'm Jeff Cook. This year, for our Mistyping series, I'm going to be talking to people I love and care about. And the first person in my sights is my good friend Kim. Kim has been, I would graciously, you're an Enneagram skeptic at best, if not straight mocker of.
I try not to mock it, at least not to you guys. I mock it in other circles, but not in this one.
When you guys aren't around, that's
when you guys aren't around, I do
comes.
mock the Enneagram quite heavily.
Rightly so, I think. So Kim's been in the circle where I was learning, and a lot of us were learning about Enneagram before we knew that you probably shouldn't type other people or tell them who they are. But occasionally you got some of that incoming fire, yeah?
I think I had that more than anything else. It was only typing other people. It was only putting your family members and other people and friends in boxes. That was the only thing I ever experienced.
But mostly at yourself, correct?
Always at myself. Like I feel like I had conversations with people where they really wanted to figure out their family members or their friends or their coworkers, and I think their hearts were in the right place. But what it sounded like was just a bunch of, now I know why they're messed up.
Right.
Like, now I know why they do all these bad things that they do. And not that I feel empathy for them, but like I've cracked the code. And I find that to be kind of grotesque.
I'm going to join you there. So rightly so. This makes you a quality person. And actually, this is what I know of Kim is a high quality person. You're a teacher.
Yes.
Tell me about your teaching.
I originally went to school to be a high school English teacher and realized pretty quickly that I looked like 12 when I was 21 and 22. So it was a really weird power dynamic being in classrooms with kids that were 17, 18 years old. And I realized I didn't have any life experience. And all of my favorite teachers were people who had lived before they had become teachers, or at least had something to impart upon me aside from like their knowledge of Tennyson and Shakespeare. And so I realized pretty quickly that I didn't have anything to impart upon the kids that I was teaching. And so did a bunch of other things. I managed a deli, a coffee shop. I worked in an office as an executive assistant. And through that, realized I still really wanted to teach, but I wanted to teach elementary school. So now I teach 5th grade at a local Title I school, and it's pretty much my dream job.
Became your dream job then? Like you discovered this was what you're made for?
Yeah, I mean, I had always wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a music teacher for a long time until I realized you had to learn how to play all of the instruments and not just brass, which is what I played. And I wasn't really interested in that. But I'd always wanted to be a teacher. Education was really big in my family. Neither one of my parents went to college. My dad finished high school, but my mom dropped out when she was 13 or 14. And so school had always been really important, and it was important that we go to college. And so with that in mind, I always thought it would be very cool to be a teacher.
It feels like you discovered then the elementary schoolers. And you didn't go into education thinking elementary school is going to be my wheelhouse.
No, I pretty much did anything that I could to avoid math classes.
Yeah.
So when you teach elementary school, you have to teach math. You teach all the subjects.
Sure.
So I knew that if I went into elementary, I would have to take more math classes. There are 4 math classes that you have to take.
Sure.
Because you're essentially certified to teach up through 7th grade. And I knew I couldn't do it. The reason I went back to education is I got involved in a mentoring program called Kids Hope USA at our local church. And I was the director of that program for a long time and realized that in Greeley, if I personally really wanted to make a difference, it was going to be with younger kids. And that I could do that 1 week at a time or 1 hour a week at a time, or I could put the time in, take the 4 math classes and do it 8 hours a day, potentially for the rest of my life.
Yeah. You work with low-income kids mostly, yeah? Mm-hmm. That has, especially in elementary schools, I imagine some real hard situations. I know a lot of the stories which probably can't go out on a podcast. I see you as a superhero just walking around my town. What's an example of an issue that you have to deal with in a school like yours?
Oh man, I mean, we don't have enough mental health support in education, not just in my school, but just in the United States as a whole. But when you see kids who come from the kinds of backgrounds that I came from, like the reason I teach these kids is because these are my people. Like we look different and our heritage is different, but our stories are very similar. And so knowing the types of things that kids that look like me and had the same amount of money as me had when I was a kid, kids are still having those same kinds of problems, but they're just amplified. I have kids who they don't eat if they don't come to school. I have kids that they don't have the clothes that they need. They don't have the resources to get the warm clothes that they need for the winter, or they don't have more than one outfit. We had an issue where we dress code kids in our district, and we were dress coding this one little girl, and it wasn't until I brought up to anybody's attention, hey, she has one shirt. So you're dress coding her every time she's wearing her crop top, but that's the one shirt that she has. So instead of dress coding her, let's buy her some new clothes, man. Like we can make it anonymous. We don't have to do it. We don't have to do it in a weird way. But if you want to solve the problem, dress coding this kid is not going to do it. We have to go to the source. So those are just some of the things that we deal with. There's, of course, if you think of any way that adults that struggle, those adults have kids. And those are the kids that I teach. And those are the kids that I like to teach.
Talk about that.
I could work in an easier school. Not many in District 6, but there are a couple easier schools in District 6. There's certainly easier schools in Colorado. And my life could be a lot easier. And I could go home earlier every night, and I could not think about what my kids don't have or what they do have, or whether they're safe over winter break or whether they're warm. I could make my life a lot easier by working in a different place. But I think I wasn't put here to have an easy life. And those kids certainly aren't having an easier life. So if I can make their life even marginally more comfortable, even if it's just through education, then that's what I'm supposed to do. And if I have to take on some of that discomfort, either by hearing the stories or spending my own money or walking with their families through hardship, then that's what makes it the dream job. Not because it's fun, though sometimes it is. Not because it's easy, usually it isn't, but because it's a privilege, and it's one that I don't take for granted.
Do you feel like that's unique at your school? Your disposition?
My school, no.
Or do you feel like most of the other teachers have that same disposition?
I think everyone has their own reason, Like I think if you talk to everyone at my school, a lot of them would have a similar story to mine. Like I think a lot of them would recognize something of themselves in the kids that we teach. But I think something that we say about my school a lot is that like you don't have to work there. Nobody's going to make you work there. And again, there are easier places to work. So unless you have, and I hate to say there's very toxic things in education right now where it's like, remember your why. This isn't my why, right? Like this isn't what I trot out at PDs or when admin asks me like, why do you do the things you do? This is why I would do anything. If it wasn't education, it would be I've never worked a job that has made any money because the things that I'm drawn to are nonprofit. The things that I'm drawn to take a lot of time, take hours, are pretty mentally taxing or physically taxing. Those are the things I like to do. So I guess it's my why for everything. But I think if you asked everybody at my school, they would have their own reason for why they choose our school over quitting education or moving on to a different school or moving into a different position, because you have to choose it. If you don't choose it, the kids are going to see it and they're going to eat you alive.
Are you skeptical of that kind of language, the remember your why? Or is it just that?
I think when I hear that question, I don't find it to be, I think about it in a way that is genuine to myself. I think oftentimes when educators hear that question, they don't feel like it's coming from a genuine place from their administrators or from their district higher ups. I think they feel like it's a kind of a manipulation tactic. Like, oh, you got to do it for the kids, which is true, right? Of course, you got to do it for the kids. But if you absolutely gut yourself in the first 5 years of teaching, like, what use are you to anybody? Mm-hmm. And so I think it's a double-edged sword, right? Like if you're asking that question you have to be really willing to hear the answer. And I don't know if everybody who asks it is actually wanting that answer, if they're just kind of wanting to manipulate people into staying for another year.
Gotta keep some troops.
You got to keep, and I get it. Like, you got to have people around. You have to have people to teach in the classrooms. But I think we would get a lot further if you're going to ask people what their why is, then you actually have to listen to it, and then you have to nurture that why, right? You have to. Not everybody is going to be able to find that why, or the nurturing for their why by themselves. And so if you're going to ask people, then you better figure out ways to nurture and maintain and drive that why, or else people are going to burn out and they're going to feel manipulated.
Bang. That still sounds unique to me, but I bet in a school like yours, you would need to draw in folks who are more idealistic in that same way. But I bet you bring some things that are unique to your school. When you think of yourself in your school, what are some of the real gifts that you bring that others don't?
Oh man, it's like the worst question at an interview.
Tell me why you're amazing, Kim.
Maybe one of the ways that I'm amazing is that I don't think I'm amazing, right? Yeah. I think if you wake up every morning and you think you're the hottest ticket in town, you're not hearing anybody else. You don't see why anybody else is amazing. Mm-hmm. You don't see the ways that the other people around you bolster your whatever is amazing. If I'm amazing, it's only because of the people that I've had the opportunity to bump up against, and because of my family and because of my experiences. Nobody gets to where they are alone. And so I think that's the secret to my success, is that I don't ever think that I'm the smartest person in the room. I don't ever think that I have the most skills. I don't ever think that I could do anything that I do alone. I always think that it's a group effort, and I am one of the group.
Would you describe yourself as protective for your kids?
Mm-hmm.
And with a sly giggle on the end, what does that look like? Aside from reminding administration that this girl only has one shirt.
I think that's it. I've found myself many times in several careers, but in this one especially, being the voice in the room that says what I need to say, whether it's what needs to be said always. I guess I don't know that, but I've described it as, if I don't say this, I won't be able to sleep tonight. If I don't say this, I won't be able to live with myself. So there are times where everyone else in the room is very quiet, and I will be the one who says, I don't know about that. Mm-hmm. Or do you know this about the family? Or, there was one time where I had a coworker who was really frustrated with a kid, and the first thing I asked her was, do you know their name? And that was that question made her really angry. But it was the right question. Mm-hmm. Because I think I work in a school where you could see a lot of the things that the kids do as behaviors, right? That behaviors term in education, and not think about where the behavior is coming from. And the first thing that someone should do is know the kid's name. And so I think that that's where my protectiveness comes out of. I have been known to say, this is the mountain I'm going to die on. I will pick things or say things or do things because my kids deserve it, and I'm not going to back down on it. And I will figure out a way to make it happen if the people around me can't. But yeah, I have 30 kids a year that pass through my classroom, and I have no children of my own, but all those kids are my kids, and they're going to be my kids forever.
Do you spend much time thinking about the things that you yourself want, or is most of your energy going outward in service?
Yeah. I don't spend a lot of time thinking about the things that I want. This time of year, there are a couple times a year where I really think I wanted to go to overseas before I turned 40. That was something that I had always wanted to do, and I was able to do. Or I want to learn. I have skills. I don't always have a lot of hobbies. And so every year I'm like, I need a hobby to do in the evenings or whatever when things get slow. I don't spend a lot of time thinking about the things that I want. But I don't know if it always, I guess that sounds really unhealthy. And I suppose it can be, but I think there's a lie that like the sort of the self-help community has told us for a lot of years that like self-care means constantly looking inward and thinking about what you want and what you deserve. And if something doesn't, something I heard a couple of days ago was like, I'm letting go of anything that doesn't serve me in 2026. And I was like, oh no. If I let go of everything that didn't serve me, I wouldn't have anything, right? Like very little in my life serves me. And I honestly think that's a really good thing. And I think you can take it to an unhealthy place. But I don't believe in that. Like, I don't think that, I think more people should really look at the things that don't serve them and think about how they can serve that thing. I think the world would be a better place if our politicians and our leaders looked at what wasn't serving them and thought about, well, what can I do for those people or those things or that project or that mission? So yeah, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about myself, but I don't really see it as a problem most of the time.
On the flip side, you don't seem like the sort of person that has a difficulty drawing boundaries. Am I wrong there?
I've gotten better. When I first started, after I graduated and went back to school, so I started teaching online during COVID.
Yeah.
My first teaching job back in education was a fourth grade teacher online, and I had like 57 students. And
Ooh.
I worked it was untenable. But I did absolutely everything that I could that year for those kids that were in front of me. But I like ripped myself apart in the process. And so I knew pretty quickly, like that's a place I could go to. Like I can work every night until 9 o'clock if I wanted to. With education and with most jobs, I would say the work doesn't ever go away. Like you're never going to get so far ahead that you don't have any work left, right? So you can work constantly in education and never be done. And so after that first year of teaching online and sort of going to an unhealthy place, partly because of COVID, partly because I was at home and there was no like work home delineation. It was all just work home. I realized pretty quickly that I couldn't do that. But then it took, over the last 5 years, I've had to sort of pare back what I do at school. So I do have boundaries that, I have to leave by a certain time, unless there's a specific event or meeting going on. I don't bring home work on Saturdays and Sundays anymore, because I think that there is a sort of issue in education where people, they will work themselves to death because it's for the kids, and they don't see their spouses, and they don't have friends, and they don't talk to their family, and they don't take care of their health or drink enough water. And I would really I want to do this job forever. I want to do this job for as long as I can. And in order to do that, I have to not rip myself apart in the process.
Do you find yourself fearful at all as a person? Not necessarily at work, but like is fear something that like comes up on your radar ever?
In the last 2 years or so, there's certainly been a lot of things to be afraid of. And I think, like my brother talks about him and I, like, have you ever read Neil Gaiman's American Gods?
I know of it, yeah.
So he talks about us as like American gods a lot, where like I got all of the optimism and he got all of the pessimism. And I got all of the, one thing and he got all of the other thing. And I think I think there's some truth in that. I think that I am someone who is predisposed to optimism. I'll say that. And so it's not that I don't get fearful of things. I just don't live there. So in the four agreements, there's like the different quadrants, right? Where you that's where you work out of. I'm almost always in the acting quadrant, which isn't always great. Like I have a cabin set up in the acting quadrant where I like send weird mail out of it. And sometimes you need to move to the other quadrants, right? Like you got to go to the feeling quadrant or the thinking, or I can't remember what the fourth one is. And I'm always in the acting one. So whenever something scares me, I think, well, what can you do about it? And if you can't do anything about it, then you got to do something else. Or if you can do something about it, then let's do that thing, because that'll make you feel better and it might make a difference. So yes, like there are things that I'm certainly fearful of, but I don't ever camp out in that fear.
Yeah.
Because if I camp out in that fear, I can't do any of the other things that I'm tasked with doing because I just get frozen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I spent a good amount of time in my youth kind of frozen.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like that feeling. I would rather feel active, even if it's not always the right thing in the moment. I'm on the way to the right thing. I'm doing something until I hit the right thing.
Are you aware of when people are bossing you around?
Sometimes depends on the person. Like
Sure.
I know when some people are bossing me around, and I'll take it. But because there's some people who are supposed to boss me around. Like there's some people who absolutely get to
That's
boss
their
me.
job.
Yeah, or it's like their role in our family, or they absolutely get to boss me around. Or they often know best, and so it's like in the moment I'd be like, oh, I do that. But then I know that's probably for the best. They're pretty smart. Their guidance usually goes the way that it's supposed to. You probably should listen to them. But I'm probably not always aware of when people are bossing me around,
Yeah.
especially if I agree with it. If I'm like, oh yeah, I should do that, then I'll just do it.
Do you find that you get much of your personal value and sense of self-worth off of praise or thanks, or like, is that a big value for you, or is that kind of, it's nice sometimes?
It's nice sometimes. I mean, who doesn't like to be told, like, hey, you did a good job?
Yeah.
And there've definitely been people in my life or like in my career that I wish I could have heard that more from, because I think it would have made a difference in like how I felt. I am someone who always thinks that I'm not doing a very good job.
Mm-hmm.
So like, which I honestly think is kind of the secret to my success. Like, I think it goes back to that, like, I don't ever think that I'm amazing. And so I can continue, like, I can kind of just trip upward because it's like, you're not doing anything great. Like, I have a real, if you got time to lean, you got time to clean mentality about life. So like, I don't need someone to tell me that they think I'm doing a good job or that they're praising me. In fact, I'm usually uncomfortable if it happens. But I think everybody needs that on some level. I think everybody likes that. I get my self-worth, which you probably already know, from work. From like,
This has been in my notes.
I mean,
times.
that's where I have to be really careful, right? Because I can very quickly just be like, I can become the job. Like during COVID, I became the job. And I think that was a fine time to become the job because it wasn't like there was anything else going on. But like I had to go to therapy because of how much I became the job during that time period. And I know that way is that in that direction lies destruction for myself. But I also know that that's where like I get my worth. So it's a tricky, there's a tension, right? I have to live in this constant tension of like, you really like working, you really enjoy doing all the things that you're doing. People seem to think you're pretty good at it. You can't do that forever, and you can't live in that. And you have other things that you need to attend to, and you have other people that you need to look at, and you have other people that deserve your time and your attention. And it is a constant tension of like, I can see really easily how people become workaholics. Like when my mom died, I became a workaholic. Like if I have anything big that shifts my focus, like COVID or a death in the family, I just go to work. But I also know now that I'm 40 that I can't do that. That's suicide by tiny, tiny increments. For probably not for everyone, but for.
Well said. You didn't say it explicitly, but I got the hint that you may have a self-critical side.
Mm-hmm.
Would you talk about that?
I mean, I think that, like, I grew up in the 90s where it wasn't cool to care about things. It wasn't cool to be interested in things. It wasn't cool to be the kid that was like, had all the facts they wanted to share. It wasn't cool to be optimistic. It wasn't cool. So all of the things about myself were never cool. And so in my mind, even now at 40 years old, it's like, who do you think you are? Like, what are you doing? and I'm better with that now, right? Like I exist in a place now where I really genuinely like myself. And I'm very happy with my life. And I don't spend a lot of time like thinking about how I look or thinking about how other people are thinking about how I look. But like a lot of my childhood was spent thinking about those things, and not only thinking about it, being reminded that I probably should think about it. And so I think, like, I see that, working with kids, I see this new generation and they don't care. Like, they don't care what other people think about them. If they are like larger than their classmates, no one teases them because of that. If they're gay, if like no one teases them, at least not at the elementary level where I'm at. Everybody is just being who they are. And it's really, honestly, very healing as a 40-year-old woman who grew up in the 2000s. It makes me really happy that kids today, we're screwing them up in completely new ways, right? Like we've given them all tiny computers and like are just constantly dumping information in their brains, but they don't call each other fat, which is super cool. So yeah, I have a self-critical streak. My mind can tell me really mean stories, and I've spent most of my adult life trying to push those stories away and remind myself who I actually am and who my friends and family see me as, and that's honestly what matters.
Do you experience any feelings of like needing to compare yourself to others?
I'm sure I do. I mean, I spend a fair amount of time on Instagram, right? Like I'm sure that I'm doing things subconsciously, but I don't, like, in a really honest sense, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about what other people have that I don't have. I don't, because I think I did all. Like I grew up
Yeah.
dirt poor in rural Colorado as a
Got it
kind
out
of
of your
chubby
system.
girl. Like I had a lot of time to really think about what could be and what wasn't. And it just feels gross to
Yeah.
do that and to live that life. Like it feels really yucky to have that in your head constantly. And so now as a grown up, I just don't, and I have a lovely life, right? Like I have a lot of things that I think little Kimberly is very proud of. But that's the thing. When I try to compare myself, or when I get really negative or I really get down on myself, I think about saying those things to little Kimberly. And that usually like switches it really quickly, because she never deserved that. And she had enough of it. And she doesn't need any more now. Or I like picture saying it to one of my girls at school, one of my 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
And if I picture saying some of that mean stuff to a 10-year-old girl or a 10-year-old boy, like that straightens you up pretty quickly.
You were married to a fantastic man.
He's the best.
What do you see as the biggest differences between you and Rick?
We balance each other out really well. So a lot of the things that like I'm not good at, he's really good at. He's very mathematically minded. Like I don't say this, I realize I'm married to Rick, so I'm biased, but like Rick is a genius. He is one of, if not the smartest person I know, but he doesn't act like it. He doesn't treat other people like he's the smartest person in the room, even though most of the time he is. He's on the spectrum, and so it has taken him a really long time to like sort of amass some of the social skills that I pretty naturally either grew into or just had. And so he doesn't take that kind of thing for granted. He is one of the kindest, most generous, most selfless people that I've ever encountered. Like Rick will give you the shirt off his back if you need it. But more than that, like he really thinks about why you don't have a shirt and why, what's that about? And I think that that's the thing that draws people to Rick, is that they see that like genuineness and that kindness that shines through, even though sometimes I feel like he tries to shut it down. He can't hide it.
Aside from social skills and your despising of math, anything else stand out to you as this is where I'm really different?
I mean, we grew up in very different households. And so I think the ways that we approach problems are different. Like he is much more cerebral. He's much more of a thinker where I'm an actor. So oftentimes he slows me down, like where I'm living in that weird little cabin in the acting quadrant. He's like, okay, hold on. Like, let's just think about this for a minute. Or he's efficient. Rick is super efficient and I'm not efficient at all. So I will go, like, it's like on the Walker crest, like on our Walker family crest, is us going the long way around a problem. And Rick is super efficient. He will get to the crux of a problem immediately and figure out, okay, if we need to solve this problem, this is how we're going to do it. And I'm not like that at all. And so it's really, I think sometimes I push him into action when he does need to act, and he often slows me down when I need to think for a minute and really devise a plan for what we're going to do. And I think part of that comes from the way that we were brought up. Like, I think there's some of how I grew up that, and not like, I don't want, this is not a negative thing per se, but I do think that there is sort of a fight or flight response that I have to things where I just do things, and never things that I like regret, but I will just make a decision to do it because I don't like action. And he often sees that as like very impulsive and that I need to slow down a little bit more. Like, for an example, we play Wordle every morning, and I have no problem using double letters. No problem using double letters. And he thinks that is a extreme weakness in me because it's not efficient, because you could use that spot for another letter, but you wasted it on a double letter. So every morning it's me and him going back and forth on, did you really just use that double E? Are you for real? Did you seriously, you just did a double S? And in my mind, I'm just like, but that could be the word. Like, we could have a double letter. Wouldn't it be nice to know if you had a double letter right there? And it's not nice for him to know that.
I don't know the laws of Wordle on this front, but you have two E's and it goes on top of an E?
No, it's like next to each other. So you have like a five letter word.
Okay.
And if you're guessing the word, so if you think, oh, I'm going to guess the word S-T-E-E-P, steep, right?
Okay.
Rick would say, don't use that, at least not until like the third guess. Why are we using a double letter? You need to put a different letter in there to rule out more possibilities. And he's right. Like, this is one of the people that gets to boss me because he's always right, annoyingly so. But in something like Wordle, I'm like, my sort of inefficient, just charging ahead hurts no one. Just let me do my thing. And it's inefficient and weak. That's a huge difference in how we see the world. He can be very cynical. He would say that. He has a bent towards cynicism.
This is hilarious to me because as you're saying that you're the optimistic one and he's the cynical one, this is not how you guys come across. That's no judgment. Like, being an optimist myself, I see cynicism as probably that person's probably way smarter than me. Is what goes through my mind.
He is way smarter than me, but I think that smartness sometimes gets in your way, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I think and I'm by no means a dum-dum. Like, I'm a very intelligent person. I'm intelligent in different ways than he is. I have a social intelligence that he doesn't. Like I said, he made a lot of growth, but he would say, like, he does not have the social intelligence of the Walker children. But it, like, trauma gives you that social intelligence. Like, I think that there are some things in each other that we prize.
Yeah.
And they didn't come from great places.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm grateful for them. I'm thankful that they're here, but they hard coming. Those social skills.
All right. This is about approximately the time that I shift gears.
Okay.
These are all great answers and very valuable. You will know this, or maybe don't know this. The Enneagram is just about motive. It actually ends up being very close in kind to the quadrant language that you were using. Lots of overlap there. And the idea of being action oriented is a big buzzword. Mm-hmm. The idea of let me do my thing. I realized that was kind of an aside, but I bet you that's actually a pretty core on a handful of friends for you. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know how like religious you go on this podcast, but
Yeah,
like
do your thing.
I've been known to say like I didn't grow up in the church, and I always knew that Jesus and God existed, but I kind of always thought like they don't want me. Like
Hmm.
there's an exclusive club, and I'm like the Walkers are definitely not in that club. Like maybe my mom, probably none of the rest of us. And when I first heard the gospel and like came to understand that, I have been known to say out loud, and like this is an ugly thing to say. Like sometimes I just think to myself, like, God, like get on the train or get off the tracks. Like I have a plan
Hmm.
and this is where I'm going. And my plan is always better. Like for the things in my life that are good right now, the things that I love most and the things that I have and the people that I have in my life, none of them were in my original plan. So I would, whether you call it, like I call it God, whatever you think, if you think that there is something larger than yourself in the universe, the thing that is larger than me in the universe is so much so much smarter than me. And thank God. Thank God I'm not the God of my own little reality, because I'm a piss poor God when it comes down to it. In very small areas, I have good plans. In large scale areas, I have terrible plans. And so I know that about myself, but in the moment, I have a real like get on the train or get off the tracks kind of mentality. And I try really hard not to let that bowl other people over, but it's taken me a long time to get to that point.
Bang. There was a point at which you, both with the divine and with others, you're willing to say they know best. Correct?
Yes.
What that feels humble to me. That feels uh, like a posture of I may not know all the answers. Is there anything worth building on there aside from what's kind of on the face there?
I mean, I think I really resonated several, probably close to 10 years ago now. We read a book at St. Pat's that was called A Praying Life. I forget the name of that author, but the book was really good. But the thing that I resonated about most in that book was he talks about being in the desert. And there have been long points in my life where when I heard him say that, and not like physically in the desert, but emotionally, spiritually in the desert, long portions of my life have been in the desert. And I think modern thinking would say, well, the goal is to get out of the desert, right? Like you don't want to be in the desert anymore. And I think anybody who is being honest with themselves would say that, right? Like I don't want to, like nothing good happens in the desert. I'm thirsty, I'm uncomfortable, I'm not where I want to be, I'm probably not with the people I want to be. I'm experiencing sadness or discomfort or grief or real physical pain. I don't want to do this anymore. And the thing that resonated with me in that book was you might always be in the desert, right? Like any good theological reading of the Old Testament and the New Testament promises no comfort.
Written by a desert people, in
Right.
fact.
Written by people who didn't get, like, generations didn't get out of the desert, right? People knew that they were going to a place that they were never going to see, and they kept going anyway. And that's kind of how I view my life. Like, if I'm in the desert, which I'm not always, thank God, but if I'm in the desert, there's a reason for why I'm there. And this is only something I can say to myself. You never should say that to other people. Never say that to other people,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
Don't ever be the person that's like, you know what, God has a plan. Because people in the desert don't want to hear about God's plan. They never have. So I can say that to myself. I can truly and genuinely say to myself, like, there's a plan for this. There's a reason for this. And if you look back at all of the other little deserts that you've been in, something beautiful came out of it. I would never have met Rick, or I would have met Rick. I don't know if I ever would have married Rick if my mom had died. And so thinking about that long, just absolutely barren desert of my mom passing, and within that desert was Rick Destry. And so it's that sort of like truth telling from past experiences pushing me forward, right? If that could happen in the desert, what other magical things are going to happen in this desert? And again, that's not like a Pollyanna viewpoint, because the desert is painful and the desert strips things away from you that you never get back. But it also has a refining quality of revealing things that you didn't know were there and bringing people and experiences into your life that you might not have had the bareness to realize that you need if you were existing in your own strength, which is where I like to exist.
Is that kind of self-betterment? Is partially, that's like a tertiary part of this, but it's an important element to our discussion. Is self-betterment and finding that angle on reality, on yourself, is that really important to you, or am I reading that into what you're saying?
I don't know if I would say it like a self-betterment. Any of the refining that has happened, I couldn't have imagined. Like if you would have told 15-year-old Kimberly who she would be now, where she would go to church, where she'd be working, who she'd be married to, like I would have punched you in your face. Partly because it would have been like, you're a liar, right? That refining process is always things that I can't ever imagine. Like I can't. So if it's self-betterment, it's self-betterment towards, it's like, is throwing yourself off a cliff self-betterment? It's self-betterment in that way of like, I don't know what's at the bottom.
Sure.
And at some level, I don't have to. Like, doesn't have to be my job. I have a lot of jobs. I don't have to know what's at the bottom of that cliff. There's someone smarter than me who knows better than me, and honestly, who cares more about me than myself, who's waiting for me at the bottom.
It's good. All right. Feel like I have to give a pitch for why the Enneagram is so amazing, which you've never heard before. Nobody's ever tried to sell you on this.
No. And I want to be really honest with you. I don't like the 4 agreements either.
That's not.
That might be something that like I knew about that you also knew about, because I don't know anything about the Enneagram.
To try and bring some value to it. It's not, so personality typing ends up actually, in my experience, being real helpful on some of the fronts that you were talking about relationally, in terms of Rick is a generous thinker, and I am a more, impulsive actor. Knowing that about yourself, really valuable. Being able to say this is one of the places that we're going to experience relational tension sometimes, really valuable. And at the end of the day, that actually is one of the big things that Enneagram just creates a vocabulary for that sort of thing for me. So a reason to put a type on something is more of that side of things, I think, in our discussion. It's just to say, look, I'm the sort of person who apparently gets a lot of their value based on the accomplishments and actions that I do in the world. And this is where I find my sense of self and identity. And even when talking about how do I connect with God and where is that most fulfilling, I think that's really important and interesting. And the way that you're going to connect with God may be very different from how Rick connects with God, and finding that. Mm-hmm. And why that's the case.
But I appreciate that you, like, in that description of like, you're in my position of using that to better understand myself.
Yeah.
So that I can better represent myself to my husband. What people usually do is, this is why my husband is the way that he is. And that's what I hate about it. Uh-huh. Like, that's why I love what you're doing with your podcast, because I feel like you are offering something very different to what, or in my view, perhaps I'm wrong on that, but very different to what I think has been offered in relation to the Enneagram in the past. Like, I think it is always better to turn our introspective eye inward rather than outward. Mm-hmm. That's harder, obviously, but like that is what changes things. It's not the introspective eye on everybody else. And so I appreciate that aspect of it.
Agreed. Well, dear listener, you will not know that Kim is the best dresser that I know, and so that's not going to come through on the audio. But that's one of the reasons she gets mistyped as a 4 commonly, which I've heard that you know.
I've been told that I'm a 4. I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
I don't care.
Yeah, because
Which probably also makes me a 4, right?
can make you a lot of things.
How do you outrun the Enneagram, Jeff? How do you become untypable? That's what I want to know.
Well, it would point to why would you want to become untypable? This would be the problem that would then emerge.
It's every problem that I have with any sort of like, what do you call this kind of thing?
Yeah, it's like a personality
typing or
Yeah.
personality quiz, right?
Yeah.
It's that pigeonholing people.
Yeah.
But the truth is probably that all of us are already pigeonholed. Like that's probably already true, right? That no matter what, like even if you think you're being a super individual,
Yeah.
that's just
That in and of itself is
back in the sauce of whatever number or quadrant or
yeah.
letters you are. Okay.
All Sagittarius is think that. You know? The thing that stands out to me, so you will know that there's 9 numbers and that type is just referenced by these numbers. But what it really says is this number represents I'm the sort of person who is motivated by these sorts of things, and commonly this is how I get what I want in the world. And that's really all you're trying to do. So the numbers that stood out to me most, this is so funny. Everybody that I've done mistyping with has done enough investment to where they've actually listened to a bunch of my stuff, and so I'll just start spitting out numbers, and
Okay.
I don't need to create a rich vocabulary for them. But 1 and 8 stood out to me most. There's 3 numbers that really find a lot of their value based on their accomplishments, and that's just all over your language.
Yeah.
And the justice-oriented side of your work and your disposition toward relationships and others and what seems to be most valuable really comes out there. 1s, 9s, and 8s all have this. The protective side that you have, and protectiveness, you can care about people, but it takes a certain sort of person to be the one to speak up in their work environment, in spaces where things are a little bit more confrontational. That's something that I really see in you. Mm-hmm. The way that you navigate fear doesn't seem like it's as big of an emotion for you as it is for a lot of people. When you talked about optimism, I read some of that as kind of idealistic in nature. Am I wrong to say that?
Oh no. Like I mean, I very much I live in the world that I want the world to be like. Does that make sense? Like
No, talk about that.
I talk about things in the way that I want the world to be.
Mm-hmm. Is it your job to make them that way?
I don't know I don't think I can.
Okay.
I don't know if functionally I work like it's my job to make them that way. I don't believe that I can. I believe that in whatever way that I am making a difference, it is in my like core, right? And I believe in ripples. I believe that ripples extend out forever. So whatever ripples, and I've seen ripples that I've had a hand in go really far.
Yeah.
But I don't think I can make the world that I want to exist in, but I can talk about it like it already exists. And not like a weird, I don't love manifestation. I think that's
No,
that's like,
yeah.
I don't know if I believe in that, but I do think that like I've seen where negativity and pessimism and that sort of thinking gets you. So why not be idealistic? Why not hope for a better future and believe that it's going to happen? Because sometimes it does. Mm-hmm. And then when it doesn't, you keep doing what you need to do. But yeah, it's definitely idealism.
Oh, okay. That circled around to, I thought you were rejecting idealism. And then, nope, there it is.
It is. But I don't know if I think sometimes people talk about idealism in a really bad way.
Yeah.
Like you're not existing in reality. I think I am existing in reality, but I reject that reality.
Yeah.
Like I do not want to exist in the country that I exist in right now. And
Right.
so I actively work to exist in a different country. And in my circles, my country is different.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like time travel in one of the only ways that it exists.
Perfectly said. I like how you said that. Also, well, I'll sort of something. Okay, so what I have in front of me is a mistyping chart, which is just so Enneagram's just trying to get at motive, trying to name your motive and just give language to your motive. Like, what's your core? What's the core thing that you kind of want? So all of this is just going to be kind of a back and forth. I'm going to say 2 words or 2 phrases, and you just pick one.
Okay.
The first list is going to be, we'll label the 1 list. The second list, we're going to label the 8 list, and that's where we're going to go. So when you think about yourself, just big picture, do you want to be good more, or do you want to be strong more?
I want to be good.
Do you have a real desire for moral clarity, or do you have more of a desire for personal control?
Does that have to be an like
It can,
what I wish I had or what I actually have?
what's actually most interesting is what you say now that circumvents the list and says, yeah, this is actually who I am.
I mean, I think I have a desire for moral clarity.
Mm-hmm.
It usually is personal. Like I usually am like
Yeah.
personal control. But I have a desire for moral clarity. I wish I had that.
It's perfect. Do you find yourself arguing for what's right or arguing to establish your position?
Arguing for what's right.
Do you suppress your emotions to stay responsible, or do you dismiss your emotions in order to stay focused, achieve what you want?
I suppress my emotions to stay responsible.
Show concern for everyone, show concern for your people.
Unfortunately, show concern for everyone.
Uh,
It's that inefficiency that Rick hates again.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's perfect. Avoid being indulgent, avoid being dependent.
Avoid being dependent.
How's that come for you?
Like, for example, the first time I threw out my back, I just turned 30.
Mm-hmm.
And I was vacuuming. I was like rage cleaning the house because I had a friend coming over and the house was a mess and I needed it to be clean. And so I was moving a comically like light coffee table. And it was like the hand of God came out and like touched me at the base of my spine. And I just crumpled to the floor. It was like a cartoon. And I laid on I'm not exaggerating when I say this stuff. I laid on the floor for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Rick was downstairs. He was in the basement. He was on his computer. He didn't have his headphones on.
Yeah.
At any point, I could have cried out and said, hey,
Please help me. Something has occurred in my body and I don't know what's going on. And I laid there for 45 minutes until Rick heard me like quietly crying. And I wasn't crying because I was hurt, because the pain was considerable.
Yeah.
I was crying because I couldn't will myself up off the floor. Like I could not, within myself, get up off the floor. And I had to have my husband pick me up off the floor. And that was like soul wrenching that I had to have somebody pick me up.
Yeah. That's perfect. That's a great illustration. Very physical illustration. I just want to say that for the sake of myself and those listening, this, like, the dependence here is very physical in nature. Harsh inner voice, commanding inner engine.
I used to have a really harsh inner voice, but now I would say I have a commanding inner engine.
Mm-hmm. Something you've developed.
Yes, I've had to learn it.
Withdraw when not measuring up, withdraw when showing weakness.
Withdraw when showing weakness.
Ooh. Is there a sphere? Yeah, that's a vulnerable kind of question, so I don't want to push too hard, but is there a sphere where you see that, or like you might feel weak?
I don't ever feel weak at work.
Yeah.
I don't ever feel weak in like tasks. I feel weak in like family situations. Like Rick's family, they're all geniuses. They're like the Tannenbaums. Like if you've ever seen the Royal Tannenbaums, that's them. And so like there are ways where I am like the strongest person in the room, and then there are ways where I'm like literally the dumbest person in the room. Like I'm the weakest person in the room in that respect. And I will just like stay up in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Because I don't like feeling like that.
Interesting. That's good. That's well said. Suppress anger to stay aligned. Channel your anger to get what you want.
I used to suppress my anger. I've spent most of my life like filled with just like a low underlying rage, but now I channel my anger to get what I want, or to get what, not necessarily what I want, but like to get what needs to get things done that need to be done.
It's perfect. You are aware that you have anger.
Oh yeah. Yes.
You want to talk about that?
I don't know if you can grow up in like an Irish culture and not have a low-lying rage, low-lying to like very, very uncontrollable rage. I don't know if that exists. But like that's how I grew up.
Do you think your brothers?
Yeah, oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know your brother enough.
I think we're very angry. I think it's like sometimes it's like righteous anger, sometimes it's like anger about our station in life. Like my dad is a very angry person.
Yeah.
My mom was also very angry, but again, she had the social justice bent to her. Like she would be very angry for other people. Like she was constantly showing up and standing up for other people. But I have like Madeleine L'Engle has a great quote in A Wrinkle in Time where she says, "Stay mad, stay angry, little Meg. You're gonna need all your anger now." And I think that's like realizing that anger is not something that was put in the desert to like hurt me, but that anger was put there for a reason. Like you don't spend most of your life angry to think like I have to get rid of this completely. Like it's never going to go away. Like I'm always going to be angry about something, but I get to choose what I'm angry about. So I can be angry about my station or about the way I look or about why I don't have what other kids have or why my family doesn't look the way that other families look. Or I can be angry about things that actually matter. And that anger then can be used to power real change in those areas.
Yeah. That's good. That's excellent. Come back to that. Do you find that you seek excellence or seek leverage?
Well, that's an interesting question. Like social leverage? Is that what that means?
Could be. Some people really have an eye for the target of betterment, improvement, excellence, idealistically, and some have just a very strong radar for power dynamics and pushing into spaces where they have either maximum leverage or certainly aren't going to be leveraged against.
I don't know if I'm answering this question, but when you said it that way, I'm thinking about like code switching. So like something that I talk to my kids a lot about is like, we come from a very, like I can exist in circles in my hometown and be very comfortable and exist in that way and talk in that way and do those things that I need to do in order to like, not always fit in, but travel through that space. But I've also learned like, if I want to be allowed to sit at other tables, I have to play the game, right? And so it's code switching. Like I'm never going to get rid of all of the other pieces of myself. But in that moment, will I use one piece more than all the other pieces in order to have leverage in that space? Yeah, absolutely. But I'm always going to use it with like a critical eye, right? Like I'm not going to use it for like social acumen. Like that doesn't mean very much to me, but in terms of like power within a circle that could change something, I will absolutely code switch in and out of those situations so that I can gain more footing or like get to a place. Like the question that I always ask people is, what job do I have to fix that? Like I've asked people that question. Like what kind of schooling do I have to get to fix that problem? Like how do you get in the room where people are talking about that issue? What are the three things that I have to do to get there? And so in terms of like code switching in order to get those three things done, I'll do that.
Does that answer that question?
It does.
Okay.
It goes. It's again the case of the book. Dear listener, the book is Prompt for Conversation, and this is a perfect example. Your answer is much more interesting
Perfect.
than the book because of the layers that come out there. Do you do you think of yourself at times, and this would be kind of this would come up as kind of a core, but maybe underneath the surface. Do you see yourself as flawed, or do you see yourself as vulnerable? Do either of those ping for you a little harder?
I mean, I think I think everybody is deeply flawed, and I'm no exception.
What do I need to do to fix that? Is the phrase that popped most from you. Had a great answer, but there's some buzzwords there.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Are you aware of your, like, when you screw up, can you blow past it, or do you feel like you really need to fix it and apologize?
I have to fix it and apologize. Or I have to, like, if no one noticed it, I have to tell somebody about it, because I never want to be the person that, like, I screwed up and then some later people find out about it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't the first one that told them, right? Like, I feel very, I think it's your responsibility to own your shit. Like, I think you have to own your stuff. I think if you mess up, there's nothing, I mean, it's taken me a long time to say there's nothing wrong with messing up, right? There's nothing wrong with making a mistake, but you better own it. And if you don't own it, that's where the problem is.
That's excellent. Do you ever expect people to reject you and your visions, or do you pretty much go into the world thinking that people are going to see the reasoning here and the goodness here of what you bring to the table?
I think I try to work from a place that people are going to see the good in or the, like, vision for what I'm doing. I do get rejected a lot. Like, I do. You work in public education.
Yeah,
There's never enough money. There's never enough time. There's always something that somebody else wants to do that isn't your thing, or, like, that's not the first thing on the list. But, like, that doesn't, like, slow me down. Like, I'll be the first one to say, like, oh, I have this idea, and they're like, oh, we don't really have the staff for that. It's like, I'll do it. Like, I'm not going to come to the table for a job for somebody else. Like, anything that I'm willing to put forth, I'll do it. I'm willing to do it. Mm-hmm. I'll put the work in. I'll do the legwork. I'll be the one that, like, manages that. Which I think people respect. Like, I think that people, even if they're going to tell you no, I think there is a respect in that. Like, well, she's willing to do, like, whatever she wants, whatever her idea is, she's willing to be the one that's spearheading. And I think people respect that.
I think we're good to wrap up. The last phrasing there is an ideal kind of place to. There is a. I don't know that I would. It's like an earning posture, but you have performed well enough to merit a certain image in the minds of others. Correct?
I don't know. I hope.
I mean, would that describe, in essence, your posture in that space?
Yeah, I think I have been fortunate enough to be in spaces where I'm seen as a leader, and I think people respect a leader who's willing to do the work.
Yeah.
Like, I know I respect leaders who aren't just, like, foremen, but who are willing to get their hands dirty. And so my hope, I don't always know, because I think, again, I always kind of work from the place of, like, that I'm screwing up. But I would hope that people see that and they have a respect for the work. Even if it's not a respect for me, I hope it's a respect for the work.
It's perfectly said. I brought in the word, I think I said image or something of that sort, and that would, case in point, that threw off my point, because respect for the work is the target, and that's perfectly said. So you and I would share the same number.
Oh, really? Tell me what other famous people. Tell me again.
Famous people.
Tell me someone famous that shares our number. Hopefully not a dictator.
Does Gandhi count as a dictator?
I mean, I suppose it depends on where you are in the world.
Lots of ones. Ones are, I think Hillary Clinton's probably a one. I think that,
that checks out.
Who is an earner? Of all things, I'm
Oh, no.
I got Gandhi and Clinton. How's that work for you?
That works fine for me.
There is if I'm good enough, I can change the world. Dynamic going on in both those people that you can see.
Yeah.
High valuing of the law and process and systems and navigating through those and earning what they seek most, but also very idealistic in terms, similar to what you were saying, in terms of like they are living in a world that they're fashioning in their imagination and trying to pull other people into it.
Yeah.
I think would characterize them, and it would characterize the two of us. That's a common way, not only that we are in the world, but often how we relate to others is I'm going to try and pull people into doing things that make things better. That would be it. That's at least in my experience, how I generally am in the world. So I don't know if that relates to you.
Yes.
Fixing things, action, processing one's identity and personal, sense of happiness through what's achieved. Those are very much ways that ones are in the world. A sense of agency, desire for agency and autonomy, characterized by let me do my thing. Not wanting to be dependent is of that sort. That is, especially in your illustration, was very physical in nature, wanting to be physically strong enough to do what you want. I feel that strongly. You may know of my regiments that the attraction to people who are really intelligent, not seeing oneself as you are really intelligent, but when you look at Rick or when you look at Rick's family, knowing that there's something slightly different, that there are some people who just kind of live in their brains, as it were. And you can respect that, honor it. Even I desire to be, caught up in that. I feel that quite profoundly. The self-criticism is a big thing for ones. Ones are a lot of that anger that we've been talking about. Ones will commonly direct their anger inward. And there are problems in the world. Sometimes our first move is to say, what did I do to break it?
Yeah.
And then once you do the double check, then it's like, okay, it's probably somebody else's fault then. And something needs to be said. So that would be a way of coming to the world and just knowing that about yourself, that you and I can be, to be like really clear, there were just high points of real maturity in terms of a one who has done the work on herself to get to a place where she's navigating in a space that's really healthy. I just saw health all over your stuff. You said one quote that I would have fallen on the floor if I was allowed. One of my favorite books is talking about reflections for each of the numbers, and there's 30 of them.
Yeah.
Going from okay, you're in really bad shape to here are some of the best ways that each of the types can think. And the very last quote that's this is the highest isn't the right word, but this is really what it characterizes a one whose mental life is in a good spot, was in essence what you said about being in the desert and realizing that things are breaking, but what other magical things are going to happen? That's just not common for ones, but it's the idea that the world is unfolding in beautiful, magical ways that we're not necessarily responsible to create. We just get a chance to behold them at times. That's really a healthy posture. So, and that's why I saw in a lot of this. You said it when we were doing the list, and I started, there were a bunch of 8 answers, but all of them were 8 answers because you had done work on the places that a lot of ones really struggle. And that's what So there's probably lots of other things to say, but if you want to get into Enneagram, this would be the front door. I would suggest looking at what ends up happening for those who get into it is you kind of only you can type yourself. You know this,
See?
right?
Yeah.
Only you can type yourself. But in order to do that, it's kind of learning a language on the fly and saying, do these glasses work for you? Do these glasses work for you? Which ones allow you to see the world better? So I hope you kind of hear that. Like when I was talking about self-criticism, that's a place where, you can kind of feel the sting or you can feel the jolt, as it were, and say, oh, okay, there might be something there. Because not everybody's really self-critical. I would love for our president to be much more filled with shame and self-criticism, and it just isn't going to happen because he's a different type.
Yeah.
It's not for him.
So it's just not your path. You see where I'm going. But for some of us, that's it's just a real thing that we struggle with. It's part of our wiring, and just being able to name that's valuable. So that's what I got. This has been super helpful for me.
Thank you so much for having me, Jeff.
Yeah,
That was awesome.
Hey friends, it's Jeff. We're entering a new season. We have started 4 new podcasts on this channel and are working on our second book and hoping to elevate more voices in the Enneagram world over the coming year. If these episodes are important to you, there's 3 things you can do for us. First, you can buy a copy of our first book, Around the Circle, on Amazon for yourself and your 10 closest friends for Christmas. Second, you can review that book or our podcast with a note, 5 stars. This really helps people find our feed. And best of all, you can go sign up as a member at aroundthecircle.org. Even free members get half of the stuff that we post there. So go. Books, stars, memberships. This will allow us to create great content for years to come. Appreciate all you all. Appreciate your notes of encouragement, and may all good things be yours.